Top of the agenda this week is the mental health of working professionals throughout the region and the impact that the pandemic has had on what was already a critical issue for employers here. Chief of Staff Asia has just launched its exclusive report on this very topic, and it makes for some very worrying reading. For example, a 2020 study by Willis Towers Watson found that as many as 1 in 4 employees across Asia Pacific had experienced mental health issues in the workplace. Even more, some 43% had experienced burnout and 27% had suffered from stress-related conditions. Now, Sam, those numbers sound pretty bad, but are they being overstated at all? Or would you agree that employers are facing a mental health crisis within the professional workforce today?
I actually feel that it's understated at this moment, right? Where I feel that all of us are undergoing some kind of mental stress because of the work from home situation and being isolated from the rest of the community. So I would say it's understated actually. I would say that almost everyone at some point of time over the past close to 2 years now, right, working from home is facing some sort of mental health issue in different shapes and forms. So I would say that this is something that's very, very critical for HR to pay attention to and to ensure that employees have an outlet, right, to unload the stress, there's someone to speak to, and for HR or even the entire company to find ways to constantly engage them so that they don't feel so disconnected, even though they may not be physically beside you. So I think that's something very important.
We know that mental health issues can take a huge toll on the individual, but what does it mean for a company or organization if mental health issues take hold across the whole or even just part of their workforce?
I would say everyone's impacted, isn't it? I mean, from an employee point of view, it's health, right? You see more absenteeism. Obviously, people are working from home, right? And you don't really take medical leave and stuff like that, but it affects productivity. It affects the motivational level, and see news reporting about the vaccination tsunami increasingly because of the mental stress as well. So that's one. From an organization standpoint, I would say if you keep seeing employees feeling down, not wanting to give their best, it reflects badly, right? From a branding point of view and from an output point of view, because customers, stakeholders can feel the energy and it sends a strong message to them as well. So I would say at multiple levels, individual level, organizational level, all will be impacted with mental health, not being well managed actually.
And obviously this is a global issue, but I wonder if there are specific factors here that might exacerbate mental health concerns. In many Southeast Asian economies, there can be a stigma attached to mental health and also some infamous cultures of overwork. Sam, do you think this crisis is actually bigger here in Southeast Asia, or perhaps just a different example of a global story?
I would say it's the latter. I mean, obviously we can argue upon till the cows come home, right? Which nation, which countries have worse mental stress. Like for example, they say Singapore is the most fatigued country in the rest of the world in that sense, right? But I think the challenge is that if different countries have different contexts, and the situation in Asia, I would say part and parcel of things like, for example, we're not so easily outspoken, right? We don't feel so comfortable telling people that we're stressed out because it reflects badly. It's not just about people thinking you're crazy because of mental health issues, but it doesn't reflect well from a performance perspective as well. That's the usual stigma. That's one. Secondly, it's also from a hierarchy perspective, right? Because Asians typically have a bit more hierarchy, respect, kind of culture. So they don't feel very comfortable typically telling the bosses, I don't feel well, I don't feel like I can work, as compared to perhaps our friends from the West who are more expressive, more comfortable, right? Articulating their views. So I wouldn't say that which nation, which country, or which region is more serious. I think the severity is comparable to some extent. It's just that what is the nuance, right? Which of these factors actually drive more stress and which can be managed, which can be managed effectively at this moment, that has to be taken into consideration, basically. Yeah.
And finally, on this topic, we should deal with the question of what can and what should HR be doing to help protect their organizations and people. Sam, what strategies would you recommend?
I would say, go back to the fundamental basics. There are a lot of things that people always think, okay, there's new wave of mental health issue, there's new wave of digitalization, blah, blah, blah. I need to find new ways to always engage, right? But at the core of it, right, what people are looking for is, do you care about them? You see, if employees know that you care about them, whether it's through a simple conversation, a simple check-in, sending a simple care package, whichever form it is, because different organizations have different resources available, different contexts, different types of employees, different expectation. So the form that it takes may change, right? But at the core of it, we want to send a message to employees that we care about you. I think once the message is sent across, regardless of which shape and form, it definitely helps the whole situation.